Where we used for that conference, they needed somewhere bigger than where the place was used. They approached a billionaire who they later discovered was an unbeliever billionaire, a mafia guy. Once he realized it was church that wanted the building, he said, it is better the building remains empty than for him to rent it to church. Not free of charge, church will pay rent. It's better it remains empty.
So hello everyone, welcome to this episode of the show. And I saw a very interesting video by Pastor Enenche, and it was real estate focused. So I'm going to play parts of the video. I'm going to be reacting to the video, and we're going to be looking at some of the claims that he made. You know, obviously, sometimes when you make some of this, when you tell a story that somebody has told you, there is opportunity or there's a likelihood that some things get filtered in. But totally from a real estate perspective, this is not a gossip channel. We're going to be seeing what played out between two of these parties or three parties as you're going to see when you watch the video. And then we're going to be taking out the lessons from it from a real estate perspective, from an investment perspective. So if you're ready, let's go.
Said, it is better the building remains empty than for him to rent it to church. Not free of charge, church will pay rent. It's better it remains empty. Well, after that decision he made, he began to go bankrupt. 70% loss in his real estate business.
So let me say something to start with. So he talked about this first billionaire, as you're going to find out, or as you've heard, that lost about 70% of his wealth from his real estate business. And you know, most times when realtors come on here, even people like myself, we always tell you how you can make money from real estate. But can you lose money from real estate? 100%. Can you actually become bankrupt from real estate? 101%. I don't know the time lag between the time that the church asked him for the either the property and when he lost that 70%. I think that's up for argument, and also the fact that that much was lost. But what are the reasons for which, or I think, and I figure that this is in the US because Jonathan Shuttlesworth, the person he's talking about, is an evangelist in the US. What are the reasons why you can lose money? Several reasons. I'm going to just talk about some. You can have a market decline. You can have an inflationary environment. So different businesses can actually experience different shock waves, and government policies can actually end up affecting your business. Planning regulations can end up affecting your business. Now, the government is requiring, for instance, in the UK right now, the government is requiring at a particular time a certain grade energy rating, EPC rating, and all of these things cost money. And if you cannot bring, as it were, your property to par, you can't use it to make money. And maybe when you've done your viability, you didn't put that in, you didn't factor as what you'd spend. And that can be a reason why you lose money with real estate. Also over leveraging. So basically, in most of these countries, you have a lot of access to financing options, insane amount. There's some people that are even getting by even a 5% deposit. They pay 5% deposit in a property, and you can finance the remaining 95 by the bank. When you start to overdo these things, and a combination of factors that are within your reach and factors that are not in your reach, maybe interest rates goes up, and the yield, 100% of the yield from your rental or from your investment property was paying for the commercial property. When that happens and you don't have other buffers from other properties, that can actually make you to start to lose money. You miss payments, and that's also another reason how you can, or reason why they could have lost money. Also, poor management. So for most times, investors and developers would hand over the property to a property management company. They will manage the running of the the thing, the tenants, they'll manage the maintenance and all of these things. And if the company is not well run, they don't have a proper system for maybe starting with vetting, let's say if it was residential, vetting the people that are gonna like come, the vetting the tenants to make sure they are credit worthy, even managing the equipment there. For instance, a lift, a lift to repair a lift costs tens of thousands of dollars. I was in an apartment. Even where was I? I was in the Paddington station, and I was complaining like there was an escalator that was at Paddington Station that was bad a month ago. And I came back, I said, this is giving me Nigerian vibes, but it's expensive. Who's going to pay for it? And so if there's poor management and you start seeing, oh, issues with the lift, we need to fix this, or issues with the heating system, it's not like Nigeria where you can just, when you're going to the winter, if it's a very, very big building, it is very, very expensive. And so, all of those issues that are all tenants start causing issues, and now they start taking you to court. You're fighting, you're paying solicitor fees. You didn't do your, like I said, going back to poor management, or is a declining neighborhood. People are now robbing. Recently, I heard in Toronto there was a place that people like they shot a gun, and all of these things. Crime starts to increase in that place. People don't really see that place as very, very valuable. You can have unanticipated costs. And also bear in mind that outside of Nigeria, people are paying fees like you're paying insurance on that property, you're paying tax on that property. And so if you're paying all of this plus your mortgage and you're in negative cash flow, how long can you keep up the charade? You're not actually making money from that property. You're not even breaking even, but you're losing money, and then the costs are just ballooning. So it is possible for you to, in quite a hurry. And so what smart investors do, they try to balance their risk appetite. They spread their portfolio across key sectors. So you have leisure, you have commercial, you have residential, you have REITs, you have bonds, you have like a number of different things, ways, even in real estate, that you spread your risk. And also I think another thing which would kind of come into is overpaying for the property. We're going to get into it. He says that later in the video, because if you overpay for a property to start with, you're already higher than the market value. So before you even start to build equity, you're already in negative equity, so to speak. Before you start to build equity in that property where it's even worth what you paid for it, that's going to take you a lot of time. And if you now want to sell it before you get to that time, nobody's going to price you sensibly, reasonably. Nobody's even going to want to touch it. And that's where you find yourself being more and more desperate. So yes, big time, you can lose money from real estate as much as you can make from real estate, even faster and more than you can make. Just sad.
Here enters a second billionaire. He's not necessarily a church person, but he has sympathy for the things of God. This man who got bankrupt is his opponent, enemy. They don't like each other in the business world. But that one hates church. This one likes church, even though he doesn't really go to church, as it were. Are you getting the picture? So this one that likes the church realized that this one who refused to give the church his building, he realized that he was in distress and wants to sell a big property worth $15 million. But he was so distressed and bankrupt they were going to sell it for $5 million. And he just renovated the building with about $4 million.
So let's get some things straight here, for the purpose of clarity. Is it possible for you to buy a building, and now we're talking about insane climbs. Is it possible for you to buy a building for $15 million, renovate it for $4 million, so that's about $19 million, and sell it for $5 million, or put it on the market for $5 billion? Oh, yes, absolutely. And takes me back to what I said in the beginning. People always talk about how much you can make from real estate, but if you don't do real estate right, real estate can literally bankrupt you. Real estate can take your life. But then again, real estate can also save you, because the reason why he probably is putting this out, maybe you have, an asset, you have a business, for instance, and I'm not too much of a finance guy, but if you do have a business or a more important asset that the bank will probably want to go for, maybe you're not making your payments, you're defaulting on your payments, and they are trying to restructure your debt, you're still not meeting up. Instead of them going for maybe your business or whatever, you can actually just, okay, go to my asset, go to my let me sell the real estate that I have. And like I said, depending on the factors that were responsible for him losing the 70% to start with, the truth of the matter is that if you put it back in the market, maybe you bought it 1 year ago, and now it's a new build. It's a new build. You've renovated it. It is a new build. No smart investor is going to come in at that point when you've you ought to have made changes to the property for the property to be worth more, and also depending on how long you've put it in the market, because sometimes, depending on how they do these things, you can list it with the agent, and maybe nobody's responding because you had maybe a future goal for that. But the truth of the matter is that people can actually see that you're you're desperate to sell. And abroad they have things they call auctions. There are auctions. You can get properties below market value, and there are investors that literally, that's their job. Their job is literally to scout. They have people on payroll to actually scout for properties that below market value. People that are distressed, people maybe they've lost somebody, they need to quickly sell, they liquidate a property to raise money. They are coming after their business, they're coming after their livelihood, they're coming after every single thing that they have. They have to sell it. And so people are looking for such an opportunity. But is it possible for you to buy something for $19 million and want to sell it for $5 million? That is a lot, but yes, it is 100% possible. Let's go ahead.
He has to sell. And this billionaire, if he knew he was going to buy it from him, he would still not sell to this billionaire. So the billionaire used like two companies that did not have any bearing with his name.
Now let's address this. So there is a billionaire that wants to buy from another billionaire, which is his supposed rival, and he doesn't want the other person to know that, oh, whatever, whatever, whatever. So there is something called a special purpose vehicle, and you can use this for your real estate investment. So basically, a special purpose vehicle is an entity that you create for the sole narrow purpose to hold a particular transaction or investment. And that SPV can be a trustee, it can be an LLC. You can also nominate a strawman buyer. You can have a legal representative. You can even have an offshore type of arrangement, so that you're anonymous. There are various means, speak to your lawyer. There are various means that you can actually use to, and most of our Nigerian politicians will be very, very good position to educate you about this. So it is very, very possible for you to actually have a sort of anonymity with your real estate investment.
And he bought the property from his worst enemy. And are you ready for this? And handed it to the church that the man denied.
Now, yes, I heard it a lot, and there's an Abuja church incident at this church is in Abuja, and there's a very another big Abuja church where I always used to hear the pastor saying, people will give you business, people will dash you businesses, people will dash you land, and most of our Nigerian pastors they have that sort of testimonies. And is it possible? Yes, legally, it's very possible. So there are different ways you can have a land or a title alienated to you. There's the deed of gifts, by inheritance, by actually a purchase. And I think there are some other methods, but those are the basic ones that just come to mind right now. And from what he said, they were able to transfer the deed to them, to the church by gift. So yeah, absolutely checks out.
And that property is next door to the man's house, the one who refused to rent the church. The property is now neighbor to the church on his own property. When he realized what was happening, he ran mad and went to court. The other billionaire was very happy. He was enjoying himself. It was a fun. He told the church, don't bother. Don't even hire any lawyer. I will handle the case. And he took federal lawyers. The program I went to preach last July that he should not hold.
Okay, so this part is a bit confusing to me. So lawyers in the house, help me here. So if he has transferred the land and the title on that land to the church, on what capacity is he being able to tell these people to chill and that he's going to have his own legal representative handle the case? So is it not the title holder, the freehold title holder, that actually has all of the liability, except he's giving him the lawyer or giving him? So that's kind of like confusing to me. And let's watch on.
Maybe you didn't know the people that were on the handbill. Court trashed it and returned back the property to the church. This good billionaire, he told the church, I will hold the property for you for 3 years. All I need from you is every year, give me $1. Every year, give me $1.
So I'm gonna go on the limb and make a conjecture here. So that $1 seems to me like that was the ground rent that the church has to pay in 3 years. So it seems to me that the church, because they said they transferred the ownership back to the church after the legal case. So it seems to me that the church had a leasehold title on that property, and the original owner, which is the other good billionaire, is still the person that has the freehold title, and the church, being a leaseholder for 3 years, according to what he said, the arrangement he will now transfer it back to the church after 3 years, because let's see what he says.
Hey! Even you can pay $1. Not 10, no, not 1,000. Every year, $1. Every year, $1. Every year. He said, and I want to hold it for 3 years so I can fight all the legal battles, clear it, and after 3 years, bam, take it to you, church, you own it.
Yeah, so just like I suspected, yeah. So after the 3 years, the freehold title will be transferred. So the ownership that the church currently has is a leasehold, hence the ground rent of $1, because if it wasn't, then there was no need for the church to be involved at any point in time with the transaction or what have you. But that's what I understood from that. Obviously, I may not be, we are making a lot of conjectures here because we don't have like I said, sometimes some of these times when a third party tells the story, there's a lot that can kind of be lost, and doesn't mean that it's not true or it's false. But from from my understanding, that's what I make of it. Let's see if there's anything interesting left in this clip.
That land can take how many thousand seat auditorium? It has everything on it. It has literally something like a 5-star hotel, which we stayed in when we got there, all on the land. God can make raven feed prophet. Even if the raven doesn't give his food to any other person.
All right. So yeah, he said that the billionaire obviously wants to fight all of the I know there's a statute of limitation with these things, but I don't know if it's just 3 years. That probably his opponents cannot come after him. But there's also probably several reasons why he wants to still, hold the freehold title, most importantly, leverage. Because bear in mind, this thing was worth $19 million. That was the market value as at the time after the renovation, and somebody got it $5 million. You can do you know how much you can borrow against that? So is my idea, is my thinking that the other person wants to kind of leverage that, and either he's just keeping the church as as a leaseholder, or they just pay rent, and after that time, when he's been able to extract enough equity as possible in 3 years, he is not able to sell. Transfer it to them by a actual deed of gift. So that's my learning from here. I want to start to react, and if you guys like this type of content, let me know in the comment section. Outside of Nigeria, it's so sad in Nigeria, in Nigeria, that there's just only one way, and that's why you see people they live their whole life 40 years before they get their first property. But you see abroad, people in their 20s, in their early 30s, they're able to get multiple properties just because of leverage. But I hope you've been able to learn one or two about that system. I've also started working with some asset management companies in the UK, and they actually use some of these methods I have spoken about, buying below market value, and then they trade. They have fixed equity bonds, they have private equity, and a number of things, and very good percentage return, 7.5, 8.5 to like 12. Yeah. So if you're interested in that, hit me up. Solidify your assets outside of Nigeria, because if you do the right thing, you can actually really, really make a lot of money here, because problem not the finish. And I when people talk about buying below market value, for people that are empathetic, it may seem so wicked, in quotes, taking advantage of a person in their lowest point. But the truth of the matter is that, like, even in that their lowest point, that asset doesn't mean anything to them. You get, they're just trying to solve their problem, and you have the negotiating power. And most times people would negotiate dirt and get things dirt cheap. I watched the video. I'm gonna react to that video by Unduku Steven on his group, on his, about the Switzerland guy. It was a property that was worth about, I think, $300,000, that he bought for 3,000 something, $3,004, because the woman didn't really like. I think she didn't get planning permission, and that she couldn't get tenants on there. She had to sell it, and I think he spent like maybe extra 6,000 in like doing, touching everything up, and spending like probably less than 5% worth of a property. And there's nobody that is making serious money from real estate that has not taken advantage of buying below market value. And so if you're they buy below market value in the UK, and they give really, really, really good returns. So if you're interested in that, hit me up. Thank you. I hope you got value from this. Kindly leave a comment, kindly like, kindly share, kindly subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Here at the Ownahome TV show, we believe only the home owning a property should not make you lose sleep. So you're committed to giving the very best property recommendations and real estate. Kindly like, share, subscribe. Bye bye.